As you walk into St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican and tour around, sun worship symbols are everywhere. But as you look into a corner, you see a statue of a woman holding the sun god in her arms, which shows the pagan mysteries have not died. You'll also see a pagan sun god with a halo or sun on its head, who the Vatican calls St. Peter. It's not Peter, it's the sun god, and the halo can be traced to the Eastern cultures where the Buddhist and Hindu religions adorned their deities with the sun behind its head. And you can see that Catholic art tried to paganize Jesus Christ and show images of him with the halo, where critics assert that Jesus is not the Son of God, but the Sun God. Even the image of Jesus was borrowed from the pagan world. Look at this image of the Greek god Zeus, who they call the father of the gods. And when you go into the Vatican and look at the images of who they say is Jesus with a halo on his head, it is Zeus, not Christ. But this is the image that dominates Christendom, Zeus. Even rappers have made Zeus their top bling iconic Jesus piece figure that they adorn around their necks. The wedding ring is also from sun worship and has been incorporated into the church. The man who introduced the paganization of Christianity is Roman Emperor Constantine, whose bogus conversion caused the greatest damage to the purity of apostolic Christianity. His contemporary Eusebius recorded a list of all the pagan customs he introduced into the church, and Cardinal John Henry Newman, the Anglican convert to Catholicism who was beatified in England in September 2010, documented all the paganisms that came in. We are told in various ways by Eusebius that Constantine, in order to recommend the new religion to the heathen, transferred into it the ornaments to which they had been accustomed in their own. The use of temples, and these are dedicated to particular saints and ornamented on occasions with branches of trees, incense, lamps and candles, votive offerings on recovery from illness, holy water, asylums, holy days and seasons, use of calendars, processions, blessings on the fields, sacerdotal vestments, the tonsure, the ring in marriage. Turning to the east, images at a later date, perhaps the ecclesiastical chant and the Kyrie Eleison, are all of pagan origin and sanctified by their adoption into the church. And Christians who claim to be separate from her do not have much to challenge her on, for they also have adopted many of these pagan practices. And when critics attack Christianity as being nothing more than a scam and a continuation of the sun-worshipping Mithric religion of Rome, they find it impossible to defend themselves. So sun worship still survives in most of the mainstream Christian churches. Let us observe them step by step. In the first edition of the Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 5, it clearly documents where the pagan custom of Easter originated from. Easter. The English term, according to the Venerable Bede, De Temporium Ration 1.5, relates to Eostra, a Teutonic goddess of the rising light of day and spring. William Tyler Olcott, in his well-researched book titled Sun Law of All Ages, also confirms this. He says, in short, sun worship, symbolically speaking, lies at the very heart of the great festivals which the Christian Church celebrates today. The Christian festival of Easter has its solar characteristics. The very word Easter, says Proctor, is in its real origin as closely related to sun movements as the word east. And the notion that the sun dances on Easter morning as it rises is firmly believed today by superstitious people. In Saxony and Brandenburg, the peasants still climb the hilltops before dawn on Easter Day to witness the three joyful leaps of the sun as our English forefathers used to do. Tyler tells us that the solar rite of the new fire adopted by the Roman Church was a paschal ceremony, may still be witnessed in Europe with its solemn curfew on Easter Eve and the ceremonial striking at the new holy fire. The Canadian-born Freemason Manly Palmer Hall, who is considered as one of the most respected esoteric scholars in the 20th century, tells us its pagan roots. For reasons which they doubtless considered sufficient, those who chronicled the life and act of Jesus found it advisable to metamorphose him into a solar deity. Sun worship played an important part in nearly all the pagan mysteries. The pagans set aside the 25th of December as the birthday of the solar man. They rejoiced, feasted, gathered in processions, and made offerings in the temple. In fact, the merrymaking is rooted in paganism. The Bible never gives an exact date for Jesus' birth. So when the Christian Church adopted December 25th, it was superimposing a Christian festival on a previously held pagan one, says Richard Heinberg, author of Celebrate the Solstice. Having Christmas trees again hark back to the pagans. They decorated evergreen trees with decorations, food, and runes to keep the spirits close to their villages. The Christian authorities tried for years to stamp this out, so the pagans merely took their trees indoors, which is why we are still doing it to this day.
Says my husband's reading a book that teaches that Sunday is the pagan worship day. Are we Christians worshiping on the wrong day? Does it matter?
Boy, Sherry, this seems to be cropping up a lot these days. Sunday was a Roman pagan holiday, and that's why we get the name Sunday. And they worshipped Sol Invictus. It was a goddess of the sun. The Lord's Day is what John talks about in the book of Revelation. It was the Lord's Day, and I was in prayer. So from the early church, they celebrated Resurrection Day instead of the Sabbath on Saturday. They celebrated Resurrection Day. So us worshiping on Sunday is not a pagan thing, it's an early church thing.
Μερικοί τους λένε παγανιστές και ειδωλολάτρες. Άλλοι δωδεκαθεϊστές.
Για μένα ήταν πάρα πολύ σημαντικό το γεγονός ότι ύστερα από 2.000 χρόνια περίπου, μπορεί και λιγότερο, ακούστηκε σε εκείνα τα μέρη ο ύμνος του Ποσειδώνα.
Είναι Σάββατο βράδυ και δεν έχουμε βγει για